Please be seated. This is a tough one today. I think I ended up with a 45-minute sermon trying to figure out what was going on with the lessons today. I am going to try to not do 45 minutes. But this is hard. Rick, you can't just walk up and leave if I say 45 minutes. You got to stay. But this is a hard one. And part of the reason it's so hard is because life is hard. And for some unknown reason, we make it harder on ourselves than we need to. We undercut ourselves all the time. Now, in what way do we do this? Well, I'm going to tell you. We undercut ourselves by constantly undercutting each other. I don't know what it was in the evolution of humanity that made us decide millennia ago that the way to survive in the world is to get the other guy. The way to make it in the world is to be top dog, to struggle against each other all the time. You know the phrase, may the best man win. Wait a minute now. How does that make somebody best? And yet, that's how we are. Somebody's got to be top dog. There's a problem with this strategy in life, though. And that is that it leaves us constantly with this low-grade sense of paranoia and distrust of our fellow human beings. And you're sitting here saying, not me, I trust everybody, I love everybody. No, you don't. Nobody does. We live in a constant state of distrust. I was down in New York City on Thursday. I was taking a walk. I walked from Fifth Avenue, 90th and Fifth Avenue up to the cathedral. And then I walked from there to the 125th Street station down by the Apollo Theater. And it's amazing to watch people. Because they are watching you like this. They are looking at you the same way you're looking at them, the same way everyone is looking at each other, which is, what is that person going to do to me? This is how we live. And it doesn't matter if it's at work, if it's at school, if it's at play. If you've ever been a sports parent, you know what it's like. Forget about beating the other team. It's, why hasn't my Johnny been on the starting rotation? Instead, you put that other kid just because he can score 5 goals. We are constantly out after each other. And we don't even notice it. But what we do notice as we're doing this, as we're looking at how we can use the next person and are worrying about how they are using us and are just all too willing to throw us under the bus at the first opportunity, this is always the tape playing under the surface constantly. And while we are doing this, our lives are diminished. Our lives are more stressed, more tense. We are not living the life that God intended for us. And if you think it's bad for us, I mean, we are, relatively speaking, top dog. And even the comfortable live like this. Now think if you're not top dog. And trust me, there's just an article out by the World Bank that said roughly 75% of the world's population lives in what we would consider extreme poverty. That is to say, on $10 a day or less. Almost 1 billion people. Let that number sink in for a minute. Almost 1 billion people are living on the brink of starvation. That's how our strategy works. I gotta be number one. I gotta scramble on top of the pile so that I can breathe, so that I can live. And the fact that there's a whole pyramid of people below me is irrelevant, except that I don't trust them because someday they're going to rise up and try to overthrow me. We've seen it throughout history. And that continues to be our strategy. Is it possible that there is a better strategy? Jesus says, well, yeah. And Jesus says, not only is it a better strategy, but it's not new. He says, remember a couple of weeks ago I said how Jesus came and said, I didn't come here to overthrow the law, but to fulfill it. Well, we point right back today to the Old Testament and look at Leviticus. There's the blueprint for how to live a life that is not so paranoid, that is not so striving to always be on top. It's really simple stuff. Don't cheat. Don't defraud. Take care of the poor and the alien in your midst. Leave food for those who are hungry. I mean, you've got your inserts. You can take a look and see what is said in Leviticus. And ultimately what it says, don't judge based on people's wealth. Love your neighbor. Now, in Leviticus, of course, they had a much smaller framework. They were thinking only the Israelites. But Jesus takes that. He does not remove a single word from what that says. What he does is he expands on it. He says, now, if you really want to live the life that God has wanted for you, the one where you live a happy life, the one where you live closer to God, not only do you care for those who are in your midst, not only do you not cheat and lie, but you forgive. And more. Again, he's taking us beyond just the framework, the recipe, to the heart and soul of what God has wanted all along, which is for us to be in that dear, deep, loving relationship, not only with God, but with each other. It's a summary of the law all over again. I know you hear it every Sunday, and there's a reason for it. And so Jesus says, you know that eye for an eye thing? Believe it or not, in his day, that was moderation. That rule was made so that people didn't go crazy, because up until that rule of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, up until that time, the rule was, if you knock out my eye, I'm going to kill you. If you kill one of my family members, I'm going to kill 10 of yours or just wipe out the whole family altogether. So that was a moderating influence. And what Jesus says is, that's not enough. Now what I'm saying is, if somebody hits you, turn the other cheek. If somebody makes you walk a mile, walk 2 with them willingly. If somebody takes your shirt, give them your coat. Now, I've heard a lot of complaints, and this one always brings up complaints, that people are saying, wait a minute, Jesus, are you telling me that I'm supposed to be a doormat, just let people walk all over me? Are you telling somebody in an abusive relationship that they should just allow that to continue? That is not what Jesus is saying. But what he is saying is that every wall we build between ourselves and others is taking a step away from God. every wall we build between ourselves and our neighbors, remembering that every single person in this world is our neighbor. That's how Jesus expanded it out. And every time we build a wall between ourselves and them, then we are building a wall between ourselves and God. We're building a wall between ourselves and joy and any chance for living a truly happy life. And Jesus says, what I am asking of you is to break those walls down. What I am asking of you is to peek around that wall and look at the other person who you're terrified of, and who, by the way, is afraid of you, and see, if only for a moment, the fellow child of God that person is and that you are. Jesus' strategy is one that does not feel right for us, because we live in a harsh world. We live in a world where we see others always as a threat. A threat to our livelihood, a threat to our physical health, a threat to our families. And what Jesus is saying is, you have to let down that wall. Because behind that wall is God. Life is hard. And it's frightening. And the likelihood is that when we leave here, we will still have those little walls up. We will still look at each other with distrust. All I can ask of you, and all God is asking at this moment, is to consider how well that strategy is working. Because from what I've seen of history and the news, that strategy and its results is flawed. And Jesus says, there is a better way. Amen.